So there seems to be a lot of misinformation regarding the Portugal Golden Visa taking 5 years to complete, meaning once you do the Golden Visa, it takes 5 years to get citizenship eventually. So I wanted to clarify some confusion here. It takes closer to 8 years and not 5 years if you're looking for an eventual passport from start to finish. And I wanted to give you some specific reasons with examples why it could take up to 8 years in abnormal circumstances. Before we get started with this topic, if you're new, my name is Jay, and here we discuss investments that lead to residencies and different citizenships. So if you haven't subscribed, take a moment and subscribe to my channel so you're always up to date on all the latest and greatest regarding any of the programs. And during the course of this video, if you want to get started with your residency or citizenship application in any of the countries that I support, then visit jsuresh.com to book a call and we can get you started from there on. Now let's understand the process that's involved in the Portugal Golden Visa. There are 2 or 3 categories roughly where you can qualify for the Portugal Golden Visa. One of the straightforward routes is the 500k in property investments. Areas have been restricted. As long as you're staying within the qualifying areas, you can choose that as one of the routes. And within the real estate realm, there are other different categories as well. There's the 350k if you're doing a renovation project, 30 years or more. So you have the real estate route. The second route is the hotel buyback guarantee. Again, very attractive schemes within this bucket where you can qualify for the Portugal Golden Visa. And then there are a couple of other categories that you can qualify under as well. Now, regarding the time frames, it's very important to understand that from start to finish, this is not a 5-year process. A lot of marketing agencies sell you this dream that you get your passport in 5 years. That's not the reality. So once you qualify, right, let's say you're doing a property investment or you're going through the hotel buyback guarantee, there are a few months that takes to finalize the qualifying investment. Let's say you choose the property, you do the due diligence, you do the payments, they do some processing, you gather the documentation. So a typical average time frame, you're talking about 3 to 4 months for this process. Now once you have the qualifying investments in place, there have been some horror stories where people invested and they didn't qualify, so they really got stuck with making such a big investment and never qualified. So you have to be very careful. You have to be working with the right professionals to make the right investment so you then don't get caught off guard at a later stage. Assuming you did this 3 to 4 months of due diligence, you did the right investment, you qualified, then comes the application process. You applied, you had all the documents in place in those 3 to 4 months. Once the application is launched, during the pandemic, there was a huge backlog, so it took anywhere from 18 months to 2 years in some cases, but now they have streamlined the process. They are trying to clear some of the backlog, and average processing times have reduced to 9 months to 12 months in best case scenarios. I mean, it can happen sooner, it can happen later, but approximately that's the ballpark you're looking at. So when you add 3 months and let's say 12 months, it comes to 1.5 years. Now that is the time it takes to get the temporary residency. Temporary meaning the Golden Visa residency. It's not exactly a permanent residency. That is something you can get after 5 years of getting this Golden Visa. But let's say it takes 1.5 years, you have the Golden Visa in hand, then you go to Portugal. From that time on, you are counting 5 years of wait period on the qualifying residency, which is the Golden Visa in this case. So you're adding 5 plus 1.5 years, which makes it 6.5 years. Now, assuming you get through to that point, you hit the 6.5 year mark, you're eligible now for applying for your citizenship, you satisfy all the requirements, you gather all your documentation. Again, you want updated documentation for your citizenship, some additional documentation. So that takes 3 to 4 months roughly, and then you apply for the citizenship. Now the citizenship processing timeframes can really range anywhere close to 1 year or more, depending upon the complexity of your case. So you're adding a year or a year and a half towards the end as well. So by the time you actually get your passport in hand, you're looking at 6.5, and then your time for citizenship, let's say a year and a half. Again, this is variable, but I'm just talking about rough estimates here. So you're looking at closer to 8 years or slightly more in a very realistic circumstances. Now you have to have your investment in place for you to qualify throughout this time frame. So yes, I mean, the golden visa option is very attractive, but not really for getting a quick passport by any stretch of imagination. You're looking at a solid 8-year investment of time and efforts and money and capital that's locked in to get your hands on the Portugal passport. And a lot of people, when they sell you programs, they sell you the gimmick, right? The gimmick is 5 years, you get the Portuguese passport, but in reality, it takes anywhere close to 8 years from start to finish, because you have to calculate all the processing times in between. I hope this video was informative, and if you liked this video, give me a thumbs up, make sure you're subbed, and see you in the next one.